think that would be something that we could actually do. As far as making something sustainable, we need to make sure that when it comes to our groundwater, and of course any type of industrial waste that, poultry makes a lot of waste. And of course now with salmon businesses coming in, we need to make sure that waste is also properly processed. And the infrastructure that is in our counties isn't capable, fully sustainable of holding everything. Darn it.
She's back.
Yeah,
You're back, Mia.
I understand. I apologize to everybody.
You did also.
I apologize to everyone. It's rural internet. So these are the things that we actually have to fix. And, normally when I'm at home in the near suburbs, I have like super fast, high-speed internet like I was last night with Blair, where you get to see me like talk a lot. But when we're talking about our farmers, they have the same issues you and I have right now. And we need to make sure that the infrastructure is there for any type of pollutions that they produce, especially when it goes into our sewage systems and into our bay. I think that's going to be very, very beneficial to our future communities, our future farmers, because our older farmers are turning it over to their younger generation who may not want to be a farmer, or they're selling it to immigrants who are coming in to farm here in America. And they're very progressive like I am, and they want to be able to use more automation and technology, but when they don't even have Wi-Fi or internet, it makes it very hard for them to farm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Bay, and the Bay is probably the biggest both tourist and also one of the biggest job drivers in our district. Sea farming, the oyster industry, and pollution in the Bay has been an ongoing problem. There have been suggestions to dredge the Susquehanna Channel. There have been, I don't know, I'm not an expert on this one, but I know that we've had oyster farm, oyster hatcheries set up on the Chesapeake, and we also have the problem of climate, which is making large portions of the shore vulnerable to weather and to the effects of global warming. I wonder how you would represent us to protect those areas and those interests in the Bay.
Well, I think one of the strongest things that I would have to do is actually join the environmental committee and stand up and make sure that it is protected federally. That's what I'm going to have to be able to do.
It turns out that Maryland that the Chesapeake has the largest amount. This district has the largest amount of shoreline of any district on the Atlantic coast, and that makes this a special issue. And you mentioned the environmental committee. Are there any other committee assignments that you would be seeking?
Yes, since I have a military background, intelligence and armed forces committee is something that we're going to be able to make sure, along with renewable energy resources, so that would put me on natural resources as well, so that we can actually make sure what we have here on the Eastern Shore is fully protected for our farmers.
Thank you. One of the other issues that just a question came in was about an energy question about renewable energy, and what is your position on the use of wind farms on the shore on the Atlantic?
I think it's a great opportunity for us to have the wind farms to provide power, because right now we have aging power plants and that are deteriorating, and in order to sustain those are coming to an end of life, and without a pipeline that is going to possibly harm our environment to fuel those, that is an investment that the community does not want to see in pipeline. So we need to be able to make sure that it adds jobs to our community to build those windmills and to maintain them for the remainder of their lifespan here on our shores, regardless of what they look like, because it's not a national security threat.
Thank you. Are there any more questions coming in from any of our audience?
Now we'll check on the other stuff as well, and if not, I think none on my end.
None on mine either.
Okay.
But one of the other issues that was mentioned that I think is important for us to broach here is we're getting outspent by it. Dr. No has made a career of ignoring the people, just collecting money from his large donors, and as far as it goes, his constituent services, well, they suffer. And how do you plan to make yourself available to our communities in this very large and geographically diverse area? How will you do that?
Well, just like I did every day in the primary, I went to a community, I went to go see them at their door place and talk on their doors. That's why I'm excited about phase 3 of what the governor has decided to reopen Maryland safely so that the businesses can reopen. But I honestly want people to still wear their masks, wash their hands, do things properly, so that those who have jobs can continue to have jobs in the health care that they are receiving at this time. Those are some of the most important things that, those who are facing evictions may be able to stop those so that they can continue to have a place to live. Because, for me, I've lived in my car, I've lived on a train station, I've lived in a parking garage, I know what it's like to lose everything. And I want to be able to make sure, as a person who has gone through something like this, and those who are going through it right now, that they see a person who is their representative, who has been there and done that with them. So no matter how much of $1 million Andy Harris might have, compared to the $20,000 I might have, we need to make sure that we raise some more money tonight by donating to me at dmason.us, so that we can make sure that all of our voters know our story, so that we can remove Representative Harris this November. And the best way I can say this is that we have an entire month of October to vote. You can actually get your ballot and put it in a ballot box for the entire month of October, depending if your county has a ballot box out that entire month.
Thank you. It's a good point. We actually do need to vote early. One of the things that crossed my mind as you were mentioning potentially serving on an intelligence committee is the current events that we're seeing with the local DHS, Trump's director of Homeland Security, cutting off intelligence information to Congress. And I know that's important to you. If you have an opportunity, how do you address that? How do you try to screen that around so we actually, as public, know what we need to know?
I would definitely ask the House Speaker to address this. Bring the House Sergeant at Arms to bring him over to ask why, to get him subpoena in front of Representative Raskin and their committee, and make sure that we find out exactly why they're no longer doing our intelligence briefings. Because guess what? What they're not telling us is what we can find out from other news agencies, like why is Russia launching missiles in planes at America? Why is China sea testing and invasion forces into Taiwan and launching surface-to-air missiles at our aircraft carriers from islands they've spent the last decade building? Intimidating our, allies as they transit the seaways in the Pacific. These are the things that our House of Representatives and our senators need to know, and our public needs to know as well, once we've had an opportunity to review it. The president is simply denying it and calling it fake news, and then goes to a protest and says that we did it when he actually incentivized his supporters to go attack us.
Lord willing, we won't have to confront either Trump or his Homeland Security Director in 2021. But meanwhile, between now and then, there's a lot of ground to cover. And is there anything about Andy Harris that provoked you to run? What is it that got you into the race?
What got me into the race was actually understanding that he came against me as a veteran, came against me as a woman, he came against me for my health care, and then he came against me against my civil rights. So then he came against immigrants as well. So that was like, I was done. And I was like completely baffled that he did the same things that Donald Trump did, 5 out of 5. And I was like, this person really needs to go because he doesn't represent our district at all. And then we just looked down his record and it was just like, no. And I was like, we'll see exactly who can win this district, a progressive, a centralist, or a Republican. And, looking at everybody that wanted to go purple, the counties are purple. We're ready to actually turn blue. And this is why I'm so excited to make sure that we can turn Maryland all blue. And if we have to wait until we wait for everybody to complete their census and remap this district, I think we will actually have an awesome chance, even in the next election, to secure it, to make sure that this district, even if it exists or doesn't exist, that it no longer belongs to Representative Harris, that it will actually have a progressive seat here in the House of Representatives.
I'm certain that this district will be better represented by you than by Dr. No. I think you made it clear where you stand on the issues of jobs in our area, energy in our area, health coverage in our area, human resources, taking care of people, bringing jobs into the area. And if I were to summarize the most important point, it's that you're here, he's not.
Correct. That is very correct.
So, are there any other questions that we have?
I think there's
Yes, there's one about, and this one is personal for me. I have neighbors whose children are addicted. What would you do to help the communities that are affected by the opioid crisis?
Well, it also has affected to me as well. The VA has, done their damage to our veterans as well by prescribing opioids. When you have an immense amount of pain of carrying an 80-pound pack around and joint pains, they normally just prescribe you whatever painkillers they can give you. So, we need to make sure, in order to end this opioid crisis, we need to make sure that there is care, compassion, and an actual program. And we can take a look at the actual House bill that I would love to co-sponsor. I believe it's H.R. 8015, I believe it is, and please don't quote me on it. But it is about making sure that this social program provides a place for safe injection sites, all right? That somebody is actually there to provide you what you may need in order for you to function as a fully adult if you are addicted to a program, to wean you off if you need it, okay? To make sure that you can have an alternative to the opioid that a prior doctor may have prescribed to you the entire time. And to also make sure that eventually, part of my progressive platform that may be too progressive for others, is that we eventually try to decriminalize it so that we can make sure that, if you can go to CVS and give your ID card to get, Sudafed, why can't you get the other things if it's prescribed by your doctor already? We understand what a controlled substance is, just you need to make sure that you use it in a controlled amount per week. And I think that to end this crisis is about that regulation and making sure that we have the oversight the training, the centers for it, and the jobs that go with it that will help other nurses, like, who are running with us and helping us in our campaign, because guess what? They were laid off, and they need a job opportunity to help end this opioid crisis, and they're fully trained and ready to go. But yet, when you have a doctor who votes against programs like this, it is time to have them removed so that we both don't see our families or ourselves suffering because of opioids.
Thank you. That's an issue that's a hidden killer in our community here. Opioid recidivism is just really difficult problem to cope with, and we do need to have that availability and also to decriminalize to get our prisons empty. And speaking of which, that leads to one last question that I have, and that is, Dr. No has been silent on the issue of Black Lives Matter. He has avoided saying anything about the human cost that we see, the tragedy of people being shot, being killed, just on the basis of their color by our law enforcement officials. And I know when you were in the military, you were certainly were treated, or you should have been treated without regard to your race, your gender, your religion, your sexual orientation. And I know that that's a particularly important issue to you, that treatment of people. Could you say some more about that?
Yeah. So let me speak directly to Representative Harris, that we are not your property, and that we will not stay silent, and that we will continue to seek justice, because without this, there is no peace. So we support Black Lives Matter, including Black trans lives, because we have seen the injustices done on a daily basis for the last 50 plus years in the civil rights movement. And in the last 4 years, your administration has decided to continuously relent in a legal battle to undo everything in our Civil Rights Act for the cause of religious freedom. It must end, Representative Harris, and I'm calling you out on it, because we need equity and equality for all, and it starts with the Equal Rights Amendment, something else you voted against that would support our communities, not only from the LGBT community, but those who have housing, jobs, and who you have discriminated against in your own medical practice, our healthcare workers. So, there you go, Representative Harris.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, Lyah, do you have a closing statement?
I think I just did.
Yeah, I guess so. I doubt that Andy Harris is going to listen to what you have to say. He'll blow you up as he's blown up every room in this district.
Well, we'll wait and see what he says about our forums that are coming up, if he even attends. So we fixed a lot of our issues, and our staff and our personnel, because we've basically been an entire volunteer team from the very beginning, and we've endured a lot during our journey, and we will succeed, because I have faith in our voters that they will be the ones at the polling places to show up for early voting, even if there is one place in their entire county, to make sure that we remove Representative Harris this year.
Yes. I want to thank you very much for taking the time out of your schedule to be here with the people, with the voters in Carroll County. We have about 30,000 Democrats in the county, and I hope every last one of us are out there filling in the dot and the form on the ballot for your election. And I wish you, on behalf of our Carroll County Central Committee, Democratic Central Committee, the best of success as you go forward. And please do visit Lyah Mason's site and chip in a few bucks if you can.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mitch, and thank you to everybody tonight. And of course, you can always find me at Mia4MD at miadmason.us. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, and thank you for your attendance, and thank you.
there.